Doing? I'm Jari. I'm here with Jervon. I'm in the college San Antonio Abad in Humacao, Puerto Rico. This is my first interview. This is Jervon. Jervon, this is my public.
Hi, everyone.
All right, Jervon. What you can tell me about you a little bit?
So I'm from the Bahamas. I'm a recent graduate of St. Ben's and St. John's in Minnesota. Recently elected the Commonwealth Caribbean Rhodes Scholar. I will be going to Oxford because of that, and I plan to study a Master's of Science in Environmental Change and Management. And also, I am currently a youth climate ambassador for my country. So this summer, before I go to Oxford, I'll be doing a lot of work with that. Actually, as soon as I leave Puerto Rico, I go straight to a conference.
Okay. And why you take San John University
So
in Minnesota?
I wanted to go there to St. John's after visiting and meeting the Bahamian community, but also other communities that I thought were unique and wanted to be a part of. So in my high school experience, we got a chance to visit the school, and it was maybe 3 days after a blizzard, but it was still cold. But I think there was a point where I was wearing shorts because it was just exciting and we were having fun. It was a nice long weekend packed with events and different experiences. I was hosted by Bahamians, so I got to have a full experience that was a part of my identity. So I got to see how Bahamians were living there, and I was like, well, I want to be a Bahamian living here if this is how you're living. And then because of that, I got to understand that, well, Bahamians are thriving in that community too. They're doing things in leadership. They understand how to thrive during their college experience, but also have fun. So I saw that they had a good balance. I saw that I could maybe have a great college experience if I went there. And I just decided, well, in the fall, I'm going to accept the offer to be here and do my 4 years.
You have the scholarship Rhode.
Yeah.
No one is not too many people with that.
Mm-hmm.
Why you have that? Why Jervon have Rhode scholarship?
Well, I guess I'll start by talking about the Rhodes Scholarship a bit. While it does seek out people who are academically doing very well, it's more focused on those who are well-rounded, well-balanced. They have leadership qualities, they have compassion, they have a drive to make change in the world. And I feel like I meet a lot of those qualities because as a young Bahamian, as a small islander, as someone from the Caribbean, there's a lot of issues that I saw growing up that I wanted to address. And I use education as a way to try and do that. So I try to learn as much as possible. I try to engage in a lot of different opportunities. Like I'm a writer, a poet, and I use all of those different avenues to create change, to influence people, to encourage people, and to be a voice for fellow small islanders. And so I think that was a big part of why I was chosen. And I hope to carry that forth and help others to achieve that same thing.
Okay. Jervon, why you take climate change for a career? Why?
So climate change came to me out of necessity, really. As a small islander, you hear on the news another big hurricane and you're trying to understand why your country is being affected. You hear about sea level rise, you hear about coastal erosion, and you start learning all these terms, and you're a kid, so you don't really know what any of that means. And as you're going around your island, you're trying to understand what is this thing that's affecting my people. And so as I grew older and I learned more about climate change and its effects, especially on small islands like here in the Caribbean, I decided that whatever I do, I wanted to have that be a focus. So initially I was going into civil and environmental engineering. So I wanted to kind of be more on the technical side and figure out how to build these different things or make these solutions. And I think a lot of that initially came influenced by just our culture. It's like, doctor, lawyer, engineer. And I was like, well, I could be an engineer, but maybe I specify a little more than just I want to be an engineer. So that was the initial sort of step. And then as I went into college, my first year seminar, so it's like a class that you have to take in your first year. Mine was on sustainability. And so I got to learn about sustainability. I got to learn about renewable energy and different effects, like things like waste management and how all of these things come under this idea of like what's causing climate change, right? Our energy, how we pollute the world. And as I learned more and more about that, I got into climate justice and realized that this is not just an environmental problem, right? It's a people problem. So it took me back to the roots of me looking at my people and understanding that this is affecting my people, and how do I do something about that? And that impassioned me to then continue learning more. I did some of my biggest research projects with a focus on climate adaptation and resilience in small islands. And now I'm eager to move forward studying that and learning more on how to improve the situation and bolster our climate change response.
Okay, if we continue the way that we are right now, how you expect for 20 years from now in the weather situation and all that? In 20 years, if nobody do anything, how we gonna be in 20 years?
In 20 years, honestly, the science does not favor us. The science tells us that if we continue on this path, we're going to be overshooting the already dangerous predictions for climate impacts, especially in places like the Caribbean. My chain of islands, especially, we are low-lying. We're the most low-lying in the Caribbean. And so that means that sea level rise is going to become an increasingly problematic issue for our people out, especially in our family islands. It'll affect our industries like tourism, fishing, and it'll affect our migratory patterns. So we are already experiencing internal migration where people from out islands are coming to the capital. The capital is becoming crowded. And like with that sort of overpopulation, it's creating a lot of tension, so socio-economic tensions. So that's going to increase. And then we're going to have a mass sort of migration because we won't have a choice to go into other countries like the US, Canada, and other places. But as we know, when you have that happen, those countries aren't necessarily welcoming all the time. You have to deal with other issues like discrimination. And so I think that's the future we have ahead if nothing is done. But there's also hope in that 20-year future, right? Because things are being done. And so I think that the youth movements of today, people like myself who are eager to do something about this problem, people have personal ties as small islanders, as people from the global south. I think we are going to continue to work to do something. And there's a lot of work being done in the research and science sections of things where they're learning about new technologies and trying to figure out, well, how do we make these switches to more renewable, more just things that are better for our people, better for our planet? So yes, if nothing is done, we're going down a very dark path that will be dangerous, especially for small islanders. But because there are things being done, there's some hope. There's a lot of pressure on the movements to stop them because people care more about their profit than people. But we're not going to stop.
Okay. Jervon, a lot about you. You've been in school a lot, so much. And I think passed too many time with your family. How is Jervon like a son, like a brother? How you spend the time, the little time that you have with your family? How you do it?
So I actually just traveled to visit my mom who was graduating in Miami. And I think my parents are very important to me in terms of my formation. And my mom, she introduced me to this world of academia and education and being sort of well-rounded in this sphere of academia and education. And I got to see her lead by example. And so I guess me and my mom have a relationship where I am constantly kind of educating myself because she's constantly kind of educating herself. So we have that connection through these bonds of education and academics. My dad has always taught me about worldly things and to be able to take what I learn in a classroom and actually apply it to the real world. And all of these influences are what I use to then carry on this thing to my younger brothers. So I have two younger brothers, and I promised them that I'll be back for my younger brother's graduation. So I will be home This summer, my eldest of the two younger brothers is graduating. I've been helping him this entire first semester, this semester, to prepare for high school. I gave him the information to apply to my old high school because he said that's where he wanted to go. So I did all of that and I helped him with a scholarship application. So he's waiting on the verdict for that. And this summer, I'll be having more time to spend with him and teach him about what to expect out of high school. And when I talk to him, he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be easy. I got it." But I want to have those kind of conversations with him to help him really understand as he moves through it and be a guiding hand for him and teach him how to do that for our youngest brother because I'm not there. And when I'm not there, he's the big brother. And so those are the kind of relationships I have with my family. I know, growing up, I was very close to my family. I grew up with a lot of cousins, and we spent a lot of time rambling outside and enjoying just our cultural heritage. And that's the kind of thing I want to protect. I have younger siblings, and so a part of my passion for climate justice is when we move into the future, that's the future where I myself, my younger siblings, my children, if I have any, will be living in, and I want that to be a future that could be full of joy in some way. And I'm very excited to be at home this summer because I miss my family a lot. It's this past 2 years has been just a lot of work. I'm at school for a long period of time, and then I may have an internship somewhere. So last summer I wasn't at home, and so it was just, and I've been kind of in and out for I've been home probably no more than 2 days each time in the past year and a half. Wow. Right? So it's a lot.
I read something really, really nice about your mom. She read you when you in the bed. Okay? That's something really, really nice. I never read something like that. So it's something nice. And I also read that you have a poem that you every day you read that poem. That's true?
Yeah, I mean, I have a morning sort of routine that I open up my notes app and I'm rereading. My co-volunteer here can tell you, he'll hear me reading out loud in the room. So
that's like affirmations, right?
Yeah.
I started doing that now when I have 43 years old. And I never had someone that told me, if you read something every day, that's affirmation. So I started now. You start in the belly, I start now. Jervon, what you can tell me about Puerto Rico?
About Puerto Rico. There's so much to love about Puerto Rico. I've really, really enjoyed my time here. The food, the people, the music, being in a school setting as well, getting to see Puerto Rican youth and how they interact with each other. Sometimes it's whoa, and then sometimes it's okay, that's cool, right? So you get to see the duality of it. It's really interesting. When we first got here, it was immediate that we were welcomed into the community. I mean, like my first day on the job, afterwards, we all went to another teacher's house. We just were hanging out, drinking, talking. And that was a really cool experience. And also, what I love a lot about Puerto Rico, especially after being in Minnesota for the past 4 years, is that it's very close to home in the sense that physically, but also very similar in terms of culture. Really, the biggest difference is just the language. And even in that, the language has its similarities in the sense that we don't speak our proper sort of colonial tongue, right? We have our own twist and spin on it here in the